Well, hey, Dave Melinda here, Positive Polarity Podcast. Hope things are going awesome for you this week. I got a rhetorical question for you, but hopefully it isn't one that is going to make you think too much. But the question is today is, are you fed up with feeling stuck in a financial rut? And my travels around the country, finances is always a big topic in business coaching and training. And so, if that's you, my friend, you are in the right place because I have a great guest that's going to find you some money today. And I'm honored to be hanging out with Matthew Lesko. How are you, my friend?
Oh, good. I'm in a financial rut.
Uh-oh. Well, then you better tell us how to get out of that. Come on.
Right. No,
So
we
you
all
are
are.
Yeah, so if for those of you that can't see, he's wearing clothes that have question marks all over them. So you are AKA the question mark guy. So fill us in on how did you get that label in your world, Matthew?
Um, I don't know. I was always a clothes horse in a way, but growing up in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, a clothes horse isn't, maybe a bow tie or something.
Yeah,
And then I remember actually coming to Milwaukee where you are,
yeah.
um, on a bus, and I was wearing an ascot. So you think back in 1961, an ascot was way out there. But I was always close, and then I got into business. Actually, uh, Andy Granatelli, does that name mean anything to you?
No,
He was a
no.
professional race car driver. And back in the
Okay.
50s, I remember watching TV, and he wasn't driving anymore, but he was, I think he owned STP, that additive.
Hmm, sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he would hang around the race cars, events with a suit with STP all over it. And as a 12-year-old or whatever the hell, oh man, that's cool.
Yeah.
And it started there. And then I loved, uh, making people smile. I remember my wife's doing a history of us. And back, I went to Jesuit prep school that I flunked out of. But I hated studying or any of that kind of stuff. And I would go to the board. And I remember this being able to go to the board and somehow work with my body somehow to get the class roaring laughter. Just by me doing something on the board. I have no
Sure.
idea.
Okay.
And so that's, I guess it's getting reaction from people. And then I got into business about information and designing information systems and computers. I got an MBA in computer science back in the 70s, and helping management get information.
Sure.
Because I always felt, see, before 1972, you didn't have to worry about information. All the information you needed was inside the organization. Your
Okay.
payroll, Milwaukee's a good place. They have all these factories and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
They didn't care about oil embargo or any of that shit outside.
Right.
It didn't affect anybody. And then 72, when the oil embargo hit, I said, gee, what people really need, particularly organization, is what's going on outside their company,
Okay.
not inside. And so I said,
Sure.
I want to start an external management information system. So top management can see what's going on, and like the legislation that affects them, the markets that affects them, the laws that affect them, the competitors, all this stuff outside their business. That's what's going to bring them down or up or anything, not so much inside. And nobody knew what the hell I was talking about. But when my
Well, now all
nickname,
you do is go to ChatGPT and ask those
right,
same
exactly,
questions, and you
right.
get all the answers within 10 seconds. So
Absolutely.
it must have took you days and weeks to find a lot of that
Oh
stuff.
man, well, it's libraries. That was the only place this stuff was. And I was in
Sure.
Washington, D.C. So we had more libraries in this town than anybody else in the world. So companies would ask me about, oh, we want to start a, like Procter Gamble as a client of mine. And I start a chain of pasta stores. So I'd go to the library of the Department of Commerce and find all the market studies they have for starting pasta stores and everything. And I'd find the pasta expert in Washington. There's a guy in Washington, D.C., getting paid, I don't know, $80,000, $100,000 a year to study the pasta market. So
Oh,
I find these bureaucrats and I'd
yeah.
get these market studies the government spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on. And I'd get copies of them and I'd sell them to my rich clients for thousands of dollars. And I
Sure.
thank the government. And actually, my first New York Times bestseller was a book I copied from the government printing office. See, at Marquette, I flunked English, man. And you know that English teacher that flunked me at
Oh,
Marquette freshman year knew my sister. They went to Misericordia College together. No, not my sister,
uh-oh.
but her sister's friend. So she was almost like family. The sucker
Yeah.
still had to flunk me. I used to walk to mass with her every day after class just to brown nose her to try to pass this
Didn't
thing.
help, did it?
I was that bad.
Oh, well, you must have been good in other stuff, which is so
Yeah, we
cool.
all are, and that's what I think life is the problem with education and everything in our society because none of us know what the hell we want to do. We should do in life. You know, we're
Yeah,
all grasping, and nobody knows what the fuck to do. We're all guessing, so we're looking for other successes to copy, and that's
sure.
probably bad most of the time, good some of the time, because we're all so different. You know, what's really going to work for us is what's going to work for us.
Right.
And we
Well,
got
and
to,
you just turned 82, so happy birthday. And you've been in being an entrepreneur for 50 years. So kind
yeah,
of take us back because there's a bunch of people listening, Matthew, that love hearing the story of people in corporate America and how they ended up being
yeah.
owning their own business, things like that. So what did that transition look like for you?
Well, it would be I'd go to work for somebody and I had a computer. So that was, I was a computer science professor even because I wasn't even a degree in it yet. But they needed them and I teach at one college. That's the same thing I was learning at another college because there weren't teachers around. Uh, but no, it is, I think it's just trial and error with anything, but no, you have to have the courage to have trial and error. And that's it. We don't have uh, every life becomes good enough because we don't know what the hell to do, and so you know it's sort of like a bad relationship. You don't have a good one on the horizon. So yeah,
Sure,
he only beats me on the weekends, so it's not so bad. And jobs are like that too.
sure,
It's not
sure,
so, and you get stuck. And so that's why I think one thing is your overhead. I mean, that's the thing that kills us. The other monster to me is your friends and loved ones, because most of them, particularly family, they want to protect you, and you're stuck there in something it's not right for you, but you wake up every day and shove that down and try
sure.
to live with it because you have bills to pay and all that kind of stuff and you'd love to just get out, within seconds. But you ask your friends around, oh, don't do that. You have a good pension. Don't do that because all these kinds of things that
Yeah,
are not talking to you as a person, but because they don't want to see you hurt. And that's
yeah,
to me the worst thing to do to anybody, particularly a loved one, because nobody knows what to do in life. And we're all struggling, and it's very difficult. And to tell somebody what else to do in their life to me is I just get what gives the audacity to anybody to do that because we don't know
sure.
what to do in our own lives.
Right.
And so to me, loving somebody is helping them do whatever they want to do with their life. They
Yeah,
have to go through that struggle and do that.
sure.
And if you love somebody, you don't tell them what's fucking wrong with it. There's something wrong with everything. But it's like learning to walk and learning to ride a bicycle. You just got to get on that sucker and fall on your ass 100 times before
Yeah,
you learn. And if you want to do something that you're not going to get hurt, you can't do anything
sure.
because you don't know what you're going to do. And that means failure in there.
Well, you bring up something, you said shove it down, and I want to kind of think about that for a sec
Uh,
because I think there's a lot of people listening right now, Matthew, that are,
yeah.
they might have a little desire in their heart. There might be a flame, a flicker, whatever, of something that they would love to do outside of corporate America, and they're just keeping, shoving it down. Maybe it's the wrong time because they have kids or two
Exactly.
mortgages or two and a half dogs or whatever it is. But, did you have that? Did you feel that you
Oh,
were kind
boy.
of pushing that down early on?
Professionally and personally.
Okay.
But I think
What did
badly
that look like
is
for you?
pain, and you walk and it's fog, it's pain. You know it's wrong. You don't know what to fucking do, and until you explode. That's what going postal means.
Right?
And I think that's what happens to people. I mean, I don't know any of this. I'm just explaining my own experience, and
Sure.
so it's not scientific data. uh, but it's we have so much to give, and I think that's the problem when we're like that because we know we have more to give. It's sort of like uh, and good enough. I don't know why we live with good enough because the
Yeah.
fun in life is working hard. It's loving hard. It's not working good enough. It's not loving good enough.
Right.
It's loving as hard as you can, so you could give as much as you can, and you're not doing that if it's good enough.
Well, and I think I'm writing the word intentional down as you're talking about that
Mhm.
because it sure feels like that would be a good word
It
to
is.
work intentionally, love intentionally, not by mistake,
Right.
not just oops, like you said, good enough. I mean, so in corporate for you, what did you do right out of college then when you
Um,
graduated from Marquette? What did you do?
I was a terrible student, barely got through. I was on and off probation every semester. It was Vietnam time draft,
Okay.
and uh, I said, God, maybe I could get into grad school. So I said, maybe I'll try to go to law school. So I took the LSATs, and I got like two above plant life. It was, nothing was going to get me into law
Oops.
school.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, I have nothing better to do. So I was going to be drafted. And I said, I'm not a camper. So I didn't see myself camping in the jungles and stuff like
Sure.
that. So I joined
Yeah.
the Navy and clean sheets every night in the Navy.
Wow.
And that's good. But I was 3 years, 2 months, and 9 days. And I never had more responsibility again for the rest of my life. They sent me the OCS because I had a degree. They didn't know I barely got through. And they were looking for cannon fodder people. That's me, a junior officer. So the 6 months in Newport and learn how to drive ships. Then went to South China Seas and drive ships around Vietnam. Then I became a diplomatic courier in uh, in Northern Europe. Um, you know, dressed as a civilian with a handcuff and secret packages and everything. I'm a kid, 23 years old or something like that,
Wow.
driving, flying on commercial airlines with a fucking gun. There were the days.
Yeah, right, exactly. And you're smoking in the back, I'm guessing
Right,
too, right?
exactly. But I was stationed in Scotland and I was a golfer, so that was like being in the briar patch.
Yeah.
And that was fun, but boring. I was want to get on with my life. Yeah, and it is trying. I mean, it boy, and I think people around you. That's what I mean. Particularly loved ones, at least in my generation, we told everybody else how to live, and wanted to control other people's lives. And I see as I get older, man, that's just the worst thing to do for anybody.
Yeah.
Uh, it's helping and loving people to help them figure out what to do with their life, and none of us are smart enough even to figure out what to do with our own lives, let alone tell somebody else to do. And we're all so
Sure.
different. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how did you transition then from that to like getting involved in government grants and things like that? How did that enter into your world?
Well, for somebody back then, oh God, I'd like to get an MBA. I don't know. I was always interested in business. My undergraduate degree was business, but I don't think I read a book in the whole 4 years. Just figure out how to skate through all that. Um, and but I didn't have grades. I didn't have anything. Oh, I got out of the Navy early, a couple months. If I got accepted into a school, see, they were trying to get people out of the military faster. So if you got
Sure.
accepted, and you could get out 3 months earlier or something. So I found somebody. The only one who would take me as a student was Marquette, but not in
Okay.
graduate school, undergraduate school. So I'll go back in undergraduate school. At least I get out of the Navy. And then I remember taking an undergraduate was hard. And I was doing well at that. And I was remember about halfway through the semester at Marquette, I asked them, hey, I'm really here to be able to show you I could do graduate school. And I said, it's not really show. And they said, let's go no matter what you do. You're not going to be in graduate school. So I said, fuck this.
Wow.
Yeah.
They
And,
told you that? They just said
yeah.
you weren't the
Right.
graduate school material, huh? Okay.
And so a buddy of mine, I had married at the time, and he was married. So his wife, family was from Washington, and so let's go to Washington because at the time, if you were a naval officer or an officer, you could be a GS-9, in the government. Oh, I said, well, that sounds like good money, and go to Washington and get a government job, And I got here, and I think I got in the information business right away. I delivered the New York Times at 5 o'clock in the morning downtown Washington, D.C.
Okay.
And while I was looking for government jobs, and when they would start coming in, oh man, they just felt like jail. And I went to AU here, and they'd let me take classes. And graduate school was easy to me, and undergrad school was hard. And so they got me in the MBA school, and I was studying computer science. So I was teaching at another university, computer science, while I was going to school in computer science at another university. I just keep my class 1 week behind me that I was learning and then teach them.
Sure.
I got that. I finally got an MBA, started a business that failed, a software company, started another business that failed. And then my mission there was really trying to get information to people. And that's what the question marks and all that is. And I
Sure.
felt at the time that answers are easy nowadays because we have so much information. It's asking the right question. That's what's important. It's not getting an answer. It's asking the right question because you get in, and now it's even more so that way. You get a million answers to anything you want.
Right.
So that was it. I started that. Then I started trying to sell something that what I called an external management information system to top management people so they can monitor, which is really a clipping service back then with the internet. And that didn't do well. And then I just said, well, I do research. What do you want to know? And it was competitive information. So, and it was going into government offices and finding information about companies and competitive stuff and all that. And people were paying for that, paying big. So I grew that from me and a phone and a desk in a one-bedroom apartment to 30, 40 people on K Street in Washington, D.C., So that was then a divorce and a whole bunch of other things. Oh, and then I saw what I was helping people. I started learning about government programs, which I didn't know anything about. Growing up in Wilkes-Barre and probably Milwaukee, the same. The government was the IRS and the post office,
Sure.
That's, that's all I knew. But these fat cats taught me this because I wanted to get paid and they wanted to get money and help to do all this kind of stuff. I'd find it in the government. Holy shit, look at this. And I got sick of helping millionaires become billionaires. And I said, God, people in Wilkes-Barre and Milwaukee should know about this stuff.
Yeah.
How do I teach them? And so that was books, the only way I could think of, because I can't charge, people in Wilkes-Barre $500 or $5,000 to get this stuff. It had to be $20. So books. And an agent found me, and he put together a package and he sold it for a small little advance. Wow, me, a kid who flunked English in college, I'm going to write a book for people in the army. Oh my God.
There you go.
And what I did is I found a book in the government printing office. See, nothing in the government is copyrighted. You could take anything in the government and resell it. So I found this book, so that way I didn't have to write. So I found this book. It was called The Catalog of Federal Domestic Assistance. I just cut and pasted, changed the headlines, sent it to New York. They published it, did publicity to try to sell it, became a New York Times bestseller, and I didn't write a lick.
Wow.
And so then it went on. And how do I do more to people? So it was books, but what I do now is even better. Most people don't read books like me, and it takes work. Now I have a community of 15,000 people, a community that helps each other get government programs and things like that.
Okay.
And they show you how to do it because they just learned and they help each other. Because now, when I sold books, it was fine, but it wasn't very rewarding because people buy books, sort of like diet books. We all buy diet books. We all get fatter, so we don't because it's a
Yeah.
pain in the ass. Oh, I
Don't
got
buy the next one, right?
it. So it's
Wow, that's pretty cool. Well,
yeah.
hey, we're going to take a quick break. When we come
You bet.
back, I want to unpack with you, Matthew, like what does some of those projects look like? What do some of those programs look like for
You
people
bet. Yeah,
listening?
let's help some
So,
people.
yeah, let's help some people. So, we'll be right back. Welcome back. I am honored to be hanging out with Matthew Lesko, the question mark guy, and we are unpacking some opportunities that the government has for us. So I have a question kind of right off the bat
Uh-huh.
because maybe it's just me, but I feel like when I hear a government program, I feel like that I have to be underprivileged or there has to be a special need, there has to be a special reason for that. And I just want to know if that's accurate or if that's a blind spot that I have.
No, it's accurate. But the problem is there's hundreds of thousands of programs, and they all have different needs and requirements and whatever. And only about 20% of all the programs have any income requirements. So that's the thing that people, so if you go to a program and you don't fit the income requirement, there'll be another one. Like right now, let me show you. Can you go online now and I'll show you something?
Sure.
Yeah. Go to findhelp.org.
Okay.
Okay. Put in your zip code for Milwaukee.
Got it. Yep. Search.
Okay. Now, up on the left-hand side, there's a little search bar. Put in, maybe you can't pay your rent. You worry, is that lightning or what?
Zip. Is that right there the keyword? You want me to put
Yeah,
program name?
keyword. Yeah. And then put
I
in,
just put I can't pay my rent.
oh, just for rent. Don't put can't pay
Oh,
rent.
rent. Okay.
Put a rent. Okay. Now,
Find help. All right. So finding, so it's basically giving you all these different programs.
right. In your zip code.
Yep.
So you could see maybe 50, 70, something like that. Do you see a number on top?
66.
66. So that's what I mean. See, if you need help with rent, a lot of people just go to one program. Maybe they hear about, they're no eligible. See, I knew I couldn't get it. No, you got 66 places to try. Every one of those places are nonprofit organizations or government offices that just help you get money. I mean, people don't realize, I don't have a chart here somewhere, but 40% of everything in our country gives away money. I mean, we have two sections of our economy. One is capitalism, which represents 60%, and the other is government and nonprofit organizations that represents 40%. The government and nonprofit organizations, we as a community set up to help people. Okay. And that's what we do, but they don't advertise. So the average person has no idea where they are or whatever, or couldn't even fathom that there's 60 places, to do that. And it's the same with starting a business or almost anything you want to do. And it just, people don't know. The rich people know that. And that's why now with Trump in town, you see all the billionaires, man, are all over this city because they know that's the easiest place to get money. And the rest of us think about, like you think, and that's how I used to think too, is that there's something bad about it or whatever, and or there's so many requirements. But now it is, I can't. What motivates me more is that there's so many people hurting financially, and the government gives out now $18,000 worth of just personal grants, to the average to every American today. And we have more poor people in this country than any other developed country. We're number one in creating poverty. I mean, to me, that is absurd for the richest country in the world to be creating more poor people than
Yeah.
any other developed country.
You
And
have to pay these back a lot of, I mean, how does that work? As some
I
of
mean,
them
there
you
are
pay
some,
back,
but
some of
no,
them you
most of
don't,
them,
or
no, it's absolutely not. There's some that are, and they're the ones you want to do that because sort of like, look at student loans. Okay, you took a loan out, but look, now you're winding up, don't have to pay it, maybe. Yeah,
right?
not like Citicorp or anything like this that, they'll come out and break your kneecaps if you don't pay. If you can't pay, like the IRS, you own the IRS now. There's at least 3 programs that you don't have to pay the IRS. You can't pay them. Yeah, okay, we'll make a deal. You'll pay only 20%, stuff like that.
Yeah,
You think any bank is going to do that? No.
sure.
And that's
So
why
how does that work from a business perspective, Matthew? I mean, so for somebody listening, an entrepreneur, business owner listening that may need access to capital,
absolutely,
um,
absolutely. Like
I
right now,
mean,
uh,
yeah, how does that work?
SBA has, I just did, here's a link. I just did this too. Write this link down. Uh, tiny, TINY, URL.com/Lesko business. See if that works. That's a link of shows you how to get 40 sources of money and help in your city to start or expand a business. I think that I'm going to make sure that this works. tinyurl.com. Let's go business.
tinyurl.com.
Yeah.
Okay. Does that go to Lesko Small Business Grant state by state?
No. Well, that's not bad.
Your name's everywhere, Matthew. This is
Right.
killer. So
So
on your website, there's a spot where you can access over 200 federal community grants or government business programs.
right.
So this is actually, wow. So these are all programs. Are these really hard to fill out then? Or are they
No,
pretty
but
simple?
the hard part is finding the right one for you.
Okay,
So never worry about filling out an application. Everybody does that because the internet is full of people trying to tell you how complicated it is, so you hire them. Okay. And but you don't know it's complicated. You don't have an application. Every application is different. And like I say, 90% of the applications are just 2 or 3 pages fill in the blanks. And if you
okay,
can't do it, the people giving you the money will help you fill it out. See,
okay.
we're all you get caught up in Google selling you stuff. So if you have money, that's fine. But if you don't have money, you don't have. And getting a grant writer to me is sort of like buying a prom dress before you get invited to the prom. You got to find the
Sure.
right place to apply to, look at the application, and then decide. And then you call back the office. That's what I do all the time. I just call the office, that are going to accept the application. They'll help you. That's their job. People don't realize it. They're afraid of the government. And so the hucksters like me are out there saying, we'll charge you money to do that, and you don't have to.
So then part of your what's you have a group of multiple thousands. I think he said 15 or 16,000.
Right.
So what does that group
Well, we
do
teach
then?
people about this. In other
Okay.
words, and you could come on and so you give us what you need money for. So if like maybe you want to fix up your house, okay, well we'll tell you, and you don't need much from us, but it somehow I see the community helps people because you don't have to talk to an idiot like me telling you how to do things, and somebody like you who just found out how to do it is more successful at helping somebody, I feel, than
Sure.
I am. And so you want to fix up your house, or you want to sell overseas, or actually, there is another website everybody should know. Besides that link is It's SBA.com. Now, you don't want to go to SBA, they don't have grants, but they have a database of free services. The whole thing about getting grants is finding people that know about these and help you find and apply, and they don't charge anything. See,
Sure.
there's a big, that's that 40% of our country is out there to help you for free. And they know these programs, they send it, but they don't advertise, so that you're not going to find them anywhere in Google. So you have to stay out of Google. And one of the key things is only talk to people in a .gov for government or .org for nonprofit. And that's what they're the people that are not charged, and they get paid to do this, you know. But it's different. So finding these people, you have to do the work and find them. If they're getting money from you, they're going to do the work to find you, and they're going to kiss your ass until they get money from you. Right?
Sure.
The other people, they work differently. You have to find them, and you have to kiss their ass because they get paid whether they help you or not.
Gotcha. So you started at findhelp.org.
Right.
So that was kind of the spot where we started.
Right.
And then you just type in your zip code, and then you type in whatever keyword that you want to look at.
For your zip code, you'll have 4,000 organizations just in your zip code for anything. I mean, paying your utility bills, or getting daycare, or taking care of grandma, or anything you want. I mean, that's another thing for an employer to tell their employees about that, because they could get help. They have family problems or something like that. This could be your HR for any employer. You don't have to hire anybody. You know, you need help paying for college, or go here. They get money.
So for our zip code, I clicked it, I put it in there, and it says there's 2,257 programs. So then you would dig down deeper into those to see,
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm assuming there's things like facade grants for downtown businesses.
Oh, absolutely.
And, I plugged in like business growth, and I think a dozen different opportunities came.
Exactly.
So
here's another good website, EDA.gov, EDA for economic development.gov.
Okay. EDA.gov. We're doing it. There we go.
In there, up on the tabs on top, there's something called research, or you're looking for a state-by-state thing. Maybe I could find it.
They have find funding.
No, not that one. You want the state-by-state listing. Resource and tools, okay?
Okay.
Okay, now down in there, his economic development directory.
Got it.
Okay, and then click on Wisconsin.
All right. Yep.
See that list there?
Sure.
Every one of them are nonprofit organizations that get paid to help you start or expand any kind of business.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's their mission.
Yeah. So you just have to be careful. Like, obviously, there's one for us in Wisconsin. There's intertribal, so that Native Americans and Alaska Natives have, you got to qualify for certain things. But
I wouldn't worry about that now. To me, you have a list of 20, 30 or whatever there. These are people. What you have now is 20 organizations that all they worry about is what you're worried about. And maybe you don't belong to a tribe, but there are people these people are in that business. See, so it's like me talking to you about coaching. Oh, I got somebody. Maybe you're not the one for me, but oh no, Charlie over here, he does that shit. I don't do that. You're too old for me. So that's why you have people that are free that spend their life studying these kind of programs. So even if they're not for you, they're the best place to start looking and get references that would be for you. See, that's key to doing research. And not going to Google and putting in money for my business, because you get 200 million websites. and that's
Right.
crazy.
Sure.
Yeah, just a waste
So
of
findhelp.org and eda.gov are the two spots that
one
seem
other
to
one.
be.
This is good because there's some good services here on SBA. Put SBA.gov and then slash local dash assistance. And they used to have like 20 or 30 groups there, but Trump came in and cut that database down. I don't know what he's trying to do. Just ignore
SB.
what they're doing in the White House, by the way.
Yeah. /local
Hyphen
assistant.
assistance.
Oops.
And then you put in your zip code.
There it is. So yeah, it's sba.gov /local assistance.
Right.
That puts you there, and then you can just go ahead and put in your zip code, and then they've started.
Right.
Yep, it's your zip code right
And see,
there.
counselors, all these people here, there's some for women, there's some for veterans, and the Small Business Development Center are great because you just call them up, make an appointment, and you don't even have to know how to spell entrepreneur. You know,
Sure.
absolutely. And they help you cradle to grave, help you find anything you need to do that. And they get paid to do that.
So there's three different things here. There is what kind of help do you need? Counseling and training is one.
Right.
Federal contracting assistance is another, and then exporting assistance.
Right.
So, is this the spot for somebody listening if they maybe have never thought about a federal contract, they haven't worked that
Absolutely.
before?
Absolutely.
This
Do
is the
not go to
spot,
Google. Do not collect $200 or pay $200
right?
because these people do it free. And contracts to me, government contracts are probably the best thing for businesses because they buy more of anything anybody else in the world. I mean, I look in the
Sure,
database of this stuff. I saw them about thousands of dollars for a freelance priest, and all kinds of things. So, uh,
sure.
mentors, everything they buy, and you sit down with these people. They know the system and teach you the system, cradle to grave. Some of these even
Gotcha.
have grants to help you get through the process if you need money. Uh, it's crazy what's out there, but you have to do the digging, and most of us are too lazy to do that.
Yeah.
So
Well, is that where you come in then, Matthew? You kind of done this for people. So if somebody's listening and they're not sure where to start, where to turn, is that where you get involved or your group gets involved? How,
yes,
how do how do
every
you do?
day we have, like right after this, I'll be on live on our platform answering questions. And then we have members that are live. So we have 3-4 hours every day of members that are live on Zoom calls like this. And,
Okay.
join a Zoom call and ask a question from members who've got money. How'd you get this? What is, and
Sure.
that seems to be good. We also give our own grants. This is something I never thought I'd be able to do. First of all, I never thought I'd be profitable with this by only charging $20. I used to charge tens of thousands of dollars to millionaires. They didn't give a shit. They were going to
Yeah.
make millions anyway. But the average person on the street couldn't find that. And I mean, couldn't afford that. And I didn't want, they need the money more than the rich people do. And so how do I do that? So I figured I didn't want to charge more than $20. I didn't think I make a profit, but we do. And we give out like $50,000 to $70,000, depending how much profit we make that month, back to members in
Hmm.
personal grants. So, I mean, to me, for a schmuck like me, who couldn't get through Marquette University English class, to be able to give out $50,000 to $75,000 every month.
Yeah,
To,
that's great.
I thought, yeah, I had to be Jeff Bezos or his ex-wife to be
Right.
able to do that.
So
Yeah,
those are some really solid spots for us to find. And again, whether you're just starting a business, whether
right.
you're maybe even thinking about starting a business, I think one of the biggest hindrances as we start to land the plane today, Matthew, I want to get your opinion. It seems like one of the biggest hindrances to starting a business is that financial piece. Is what are we going to do? Where are we going to get the money? How are we going to bridge from, the time we open to the time we make a profit and things like that. Excuse me. So is that what you're noticing? Is
Yeah,
is
oh,
it
definitely. And it was like me with that. I was starting businesses in the beginning that were failing. I had a computer software company in the 70s that failed. And I was doing it like they were taught me in business school or whatever, and they were all failing. Then I read, hey, I said, well, God, okay. I found the money, got the money, scraped together the money, bought all this stuff, and then I became an LLC and got the furniture and the business card and all. And I failed. Who won? All the people I bought shit from, not me. And so I figured that you don't need money to start a business. Look at your business. You don't need money. You need a client. And you're in business, right? Somebody give you money,
Yeah.
what are you going to do? You're in business. You
Right.
don't. Nobody's going to ask you for an LLC. Nobody asked me for an LLC or anything. What the hell do you need that for? Oh, you talk to a lawyer, and then they'll scare the pants out of you, and you want to think you need an LLC. But it's
Right.
great. You're not in business till you have a customer. So why worry about all this other stuff? You figure out how to get a customer, and that doesn't cost money nowadays. It did when I grew up. Because if you sold something, then you had to have a store or
Yep.
whatever.
Yep.
But now for 20 bucks, you got a store on Etsy. Just sell your shit, and find out
Yeah.
and keep, just figure out how to get a customer. Don't worry about
Sure.
anything else because all the professionals will tell you how important this is, important that is. But if you don't have a customer, nothing's important. And even you don't even have to worry about the government if you're filing any papers. Just don't worry, just pay taxes. That's the only thing you have to worry about in the government. Get a separate checking account. This is for my
Yep.
business, and this is how I'm going to pay taxes on what's left there.
Sure.
That's all you have to worry about, and just get customers because nothing's going to have you're wasting time. I feel with anything because to me, starting anything is a beat the clock game. You don't know
Sure.
what exactly to do, and you have to keep failing and trying and failing and trying to find out what works for you. And if you're wasting money buying shit, that isn't getting customers.
Sure.
Somebody will
No,
tell you
absolutely.
it is, but it's not.
That's great advice. Would that be so as we land, and this might be your tip of the day, but what would your tip of the day be for somebody listening? Maybe it is get a customer. Maybe it's something else. If you have somebody listening
Yeah.
for the first time here, what's your tip of the day for them?
Follow your heart. Your heart is smarter than your brain. That's why we're all educated or whatever and think we're smart and everything. But the real things that happen is from your heart. And you're going to make that happen if it's from your heart because you're going to run into problems no matter what the hell you do in life. And if your heart's not in it, you're going to say, fuck this, I'm out of here. It's the same with personal relationships and your
Yeah.
professional relationships. I mean, you wake up every day. That son of a bitch squeezed the toothpaste again in the wrong place. I'm out of here.
That's it. Done. Oh, that's awesome. Well, follow your heart. So for people listening, I don't know what that means for you. Everybody listening has some difference that means to them, but there are some great opportunities, some great programs out there that Matthew shared with us today. Again, go to findhelp.org or go to eda.gov or sba.gov /local hyphen business. Dana will put all those in the show notes for us today.
Local hyphen assistance. Sorry.
Well, that's okay. Yep. SBA.gov /local hyphen assistance. Thank you for that clarification. So, for you, Matthew, if somebody listening today wants to either learn more about your group, they want to get in contact with you, what's the best way for people to connect with you?
Leskohelp.com.
Lesko, Lesko
Right.
help.com.
Right.
Perfect. Okay. So leskohelp.com, go there, and then you will be able to learn. I'm
You want
assuming
to
the group
see
is on there
videos.
then.
I got thousands of videos on YouTube. Is youtube.com/Matthew Lesko.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, there is tons of information here. Thank you, Matthew. There's tons of free stuff that hopefully people are able to take advantage of. It's you find your own niche in these. It looks like there's some you can drill down pretty deep. I saw one if you're in a goat or sheep farm, you can expand your goat and sheep farm. We're not there yet, so we don't have that, but looked like there were other ones that applied. So I appreciate your time today, Matthew, on this and helping us to find that 40% of government that's waiting to help us. So try to take a different approach today on what the government's like rather than always thinking that they're in your pockets trying to take money. There are opportunities that they want to give money, which is pretty cool. So I appreciate you sharing this information. And any more books? One last question. Any more
No
books
more
on the
books. I haven't
horizon?
read a book in 10 years, man. Nobody buys a reference book. And that's the problem with success. I learned how to do that. I did very well. Fuck. I couldn't do it anymore. World
That
changed.
was it.
And but it's been fun because now a community. I see that's how people learn now through a community. I wouldn't have done that if I kept
Yeah.
selling books. And so you have to be aware of what's out there, and that means doing the research.
Awesome. Yep. And if you don't want to do the research, Matthew did it for you. Go to lescohelp.com because we all know how fun. Some of us get excited by research, some of us get repelled by it. So, whichever one you are, embrace. And if it's you that doesn't enjoy it, go to lescohelp.com or any of those other websites we talked about, and you will be able to find a plethora of opportunities to get some money, to get some help, to get some counseling. So that's awesome. Thank you again, Matthew, for hanging out, and can't wait to keep learning from you from these more as you find more websites. Keep sharing them with us.
Every
Okay.
day, every day.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure.